Good morning, welcome to Breakfast with Naga Munchetty and Charlie State.
Our headlines today. Now, the Duke of Cambridge says a new investigation into how the BBC secured an interview with his mother in 1995 is a step in the right direction. 8 minutes past 6 is the time. Now, a doctor whose twins were delivered whilst she was in a coma with COVID-19 says she struggled to believe they were hers when she woke 2 weeks later.
That is quite incredible. She was in a coma when the babies were delivered.
I know, and then waking up going, are these mine? Lovely. Well done. Time for the weather. Carol is at Blenheim Palace this morning. Rather special looking Blenheim Palace this morning. Now look, I know you have high demands whenever you go anywhere. We have to roll the red carpet out for you, blah, 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 blah. But this is ridiculous, getting the palace to light itself up for you. Very much, Carol. See you later.
Thank you, Carol. Time now is 12 minutes past 6. So as the unemployment rate rises, it appears young people are being hit hardest by the job losses. Yeah,
today, new figures seen by the BBC suggest apprentices are also losing out. Nina has more. It's 6:15. Let's take a look at the papers. Many of the front pages are leading on plans to ease corona.
So the reason it was so significant for him, it's fascinating hearing his explanation was, he was 50 when he had it done, which is where it had the five rings either side. And he said he just saw this creature floating around that didn't really care what anyone thought, it was just going about its business, and that had an impact on him. And really, we'll see more of the interview a little later on. It was just a tiny bit. But what you see, and we were speaking for, I guess, probably 15, 20 minutes in all, and during the course of the interview, he says himself, at the beginning, he is, you can see the movement and the Parkinson's shake going on. And you see an ebb and flow, literally within that short space of time, as his medications, meds as he calls them, kick in. You see him sort of, how that works in practice. And
he was very happy for that to be seen whilst talking to you.
Literally, he just volunteered the opportunity to get his sleeve undone and us to have a look at the tattoo. But he does touch on some very serious issues, some of which have a bearing on other things at the moment, because he's talking about how you keep your spirits up more generally, you know, and given the condition he's been living with for such a long time. Very interesting.
Look forward to that. So we're going to run a longer version of that, much longer, later on in the programme. Let's talk about kart racer, or from kart racers, one of the most successful Formula One champions.
See you later on.
Carol can do no wrong today, can she, with that background?
Looks pretty good.
Doesn't matter what the weather is. So, OK, let's lay out the scene. You become 7-time world champion in Formula One on Sunday. How long do you think it takes you to come down from that? How long would you be in a good mood?
You go with the moment for a bit.
A long time, a long time. That's what Lewis Hamilton has been doing. He's been talking to Sally, and unsurprisingly, he was in very good spirits. Hey, that is interesting, isn't it? That, you know, he may be 7-time world champion, you know, done brilliantly well, very comfortable, but he needs time away from work and is managing the way he works.
Yeah, and also I always think with those really big sports stars, the really successful ones, there's that thing, you know, is they have a ferocious determination to win, and yet they're super calm and chilled when you talk to them. It's always the same, isn't it? They have that thing.
And when he says, doesn't matter what people think, when your mum or your dad tell you you've done well,
that's good.
That's what matters. Find out what's happening wherever you are. We'll see you at 7 o'clock. Seven minutes past 7 is the time. One more story to bring you. A doctor whose twins were delivered while she was in a coma with COVID-19 says she struggled to believe they were hers when she woke from the coma 2 weeks later.
It's the important thing, is a lovely picture of the family together.
There. Really good news. Congratulations. Time for the weather. Time to talk to Carol, who's at Blenheim Palace this morning. And Carol, I can see it's nippy because you are jumping around, but it's also quite festive, isn't it? And like bright and colourful, kind of puts you in a great mood there.
Absolutely.
It's worth saying that the work he's doing, the foundation has raised huge sums of money and is absolutely committed to the cause. Hasn't lost his sense of humour, as you can see. I asked him right at the beginning, what's he like to be called? Michael or Mike, whatever. He says, Keith Richards in the book, he says. Met Keith Richards New Year's Eve one year. Keith Richards calls him Foxy.
Foxy.
But I didn't get that.
You didn't get that. He told you there'd be too much good looking in one room if you were in the same room. Take that.
Take that.
The book is called No Time Like the Future, as Charlie said. It's out now. 8:59 is the time.
Let's take a last look at the news headlines this morning. Scientists working on the Oxford University coronavirus vaccine have published their latest findings this morning.
They say
the largest military investment in 30 years is to be announced by the Prime Minister later today.
The defence budget will increase by £4 billion annually over the next 4 years and will be partly used to fund space and cyber defence projects.
Let's get more.
Johnny Diamond there. One more story to bring you. A doctor whose twins were delivered while she was in a coma with COVID-19 says she struggled to believe they were hers when she woke from the coma 2 weeks later. Welcome back now to the unlikely hit of the autumn, thanks to the Scottish national football team. Now, Yes Sir, I Can Boogie by Baccarat is on course to return to the charts for the first time in more than 40 years.
It is, of course, a disco classic. Spent a week at #1. That was in 1977. Here's a reminder of the song. Old version of you playing back in 1977, and we've seen Scotland's new version. Could you do us, just right now live, could you do us a little version of the song? Another line for us. It's lovely. We can listen in.
You've been in touch, haven't you, with Andy Considine on Instagram and like have a little exchange, haven't you? Because sometimes it's all a brilliant song. You will not hear me say anything but that about that song. A brilliant song just kind of needs to be reminded. We just need to be reminded of it, and that's what Andy Considine did.
This morning, Maria, you stay well, and you've given us all a big smile over here. It's been delightful.
Joy.
Thank you.
Huge joy.
Kisses.
Oh,
what a lovely way to end the programme this morning.
Of all the songs I would ever want in my head, that one I'm happy to have all day.
That's all for us this morning. Back tomorrow, of course, at 6 a.m.
Now it's time for Morning Live with Kim and Gethin.